Today we're going to talk about the P50, the Volume S, and the Up. Let's get into it. I'm not really going to spend a ton of time on the build or accessories because these were sent on loan. I have no idea if I have the original accessories or not. In fact, I know that's not the cable that goes with this. This is my cable, so I'm just going to talk about the shells and the kind of comfort that goes with that. Starting with the P50. The P50 has a nozzle size of 5.6 millimeters. I like to see under 6, so that's good. 5.6 is a definite pass. It doesn't have a lip on the nozzle though, so that may or may not be an issue for some people. Me personally, not a big problem, but yeah, I have had it where some IEMs with no lip, my foam tips will just slide right off in my ears. But I don't know, this was fine for me. I didn't mind the comfort. It's also, I think it's advertised as an open back. I was expecting more kind of outside sounds, but it has decently solid isolation, surprisingly. So yeah, overall, I think the fit and the overall build of the shell is not bad. I have no complaints here. The Volume S, its nozzle size is 5.5 millimeters. Awesome. Under 6, smallest nozzle on the table. Yeah, the fit on this one wasn't bad either. Didn't really have a whole lot to talk about here. Yeah, it's fine. Again, the nozzle on this one doesn't have a lip, so that can be an issue. Like I said, tips sometimes don't like to stay on nozzles without lips, but it depends on the tip, depends on a bunch of things. So yeah, overall, nothing really to report here when it comes to like discomfort. Now the Up. The Up, it has a nozzle size of 6.2 millimeters. It's over 6, but it's not crazy over 6. But in all honesty, I kind of found it the most comfortable myself. Now, I have slightly bigger ears. These nozzles also have a lip, so it will hold the tips on a little better. But yeah, it just kind of fit in my ears. I don't know, just a bit better, stuck out a little bit less. But overall, I don't really have anything to complain about comfort-wise with any of these. They're all perfectly fine for me. Now, let's talk about the sound. So, let's get kind of price out of the way. I think the P50's around $200, like it's under $250. I think the Volume S is under, what is it, $350? And the Up is $700 or something like that. So it kind of is a big price jump from the Volume S to the Up. So that is something to consider when I talk about these IEMs because, yeah, that's a thing, price. There's over $100 difference between these two, and there's quite a jump between these two. So yeah, the P50, it has the most contrasty sound of the bunch on this table here. Like the bass is a little more distinct. It's less uniform, which could be a good or a bad thing depending who you are. For me, I don't know, but I could see a lot of people liking this more because of how it does the bass. And then you get to the upper mids and treble. Like the mids overall are pretty clean, and then when you get to the upper mids, this is the most boosted of the bunch, but it's not bad. I mean, it's a little bit much for me. I'm a little sensitive to the upper mids, that kind of area. But it's not bad. I didn't mind listening to this really at all. It's pretty decent. The treble, yeah, it's all right. Occasional song, I would get some splashiness, but some people are gonna like that. It's the most, again, contrasty sounding of the bunch. Like, it has that kind of splashiness in the treble with that more distinct bass. It's like a more separated bass. So it's going to appeal more to some people than these other two for, I think, that reason. Me personally, a little less so. But, I don't know, personal preferences, right? So, now, the Volume S. I'm torn on this one. So, the bass has a nice glide, which I kind of like. I personally like when, you know, bass isn't completely carved out, or if you are going to have like a proper bass shelf, I like it to be like closer to like 250, 300 hertz. A lot of people prefer it much lower, but me, I actually kind of like the bass glide that this has. I like that kind of, I don't know, that smoothness that comes with that, with bass guitar and kick drums. Yeah, so I don't mind the bass. I don't mind it. You get into the mids, and like I said, you got kind of a little bit of a tilt to the mids in what I would consider a good tilt. It makes the mids a little more comfy. I like it. I don't mind it. And then you get to the upper mids, and I can see a lot of people really liking this one. It's good. It's a little bit much for me, but it's good. Like, I can understand why people like it. Yeah, for me personally, I was getting some shout. I was getting a little bit of fatigue, but other than that, the treble was pretty dang smooth on this. The treble is really good, actually. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. But yeah, overall, I don't mind it. My only real complaint is, yeah, it is still just a pinch shouty for me, but again, I'm a little sensitive to the upper mids, and not everyone is, so it's gonna be dang near perfect for a lot of people. Like, it's a great set. I can understand the hype. I get it. Is it my thing? Not really. I'm not gonna go out of my way to buy, I don't think, anything on this table, but can I understand why people like them? Absolutely. So the up, it's the most expensive one on the table, which I didn't know going into it. The price kind of surprised me after I was looking it up for this review, but it was, to me, the most musical sounding of the bunch. When I was listening to rock and roll, the up gave me the urge to dance more than the other two. We'll put it that way. Like, it was a little bit more groovy of a sound, which I like. Is it, over $300 more worth of sound? That's up to you, but that's a big price jump. But yeah, it has like a similar thing with the bass, but I feel like the bass, like similar thing as the Volume S, where it nicely kind of glides into the mids. But I think the bass on the up was just a little, I don't know, it was just a little bit more, I don't know, engaging, I guess. The Volume S sounded a little bit cleaner, like, I don't know. They look similar on a graph, but to me, the Volume S sounded just a little bit cleaner in the bass, and the up sounded just a little bit more engaging in the bass. That just may be due to the balance with the upper mids and how that's all done, but that's how it came off in listening. And then, yeah, you get into the upper mids, and it's kind of similar in the sense that it nicely glides into the mids, and you get to the upper mids, and the up has the least amount of ear gain, but it also does that thing where it gets to the peak and then kind of dips and comes back a little bit and then kind of drops out. I'm a little bit, I don't know how I feel about it. It wasn't a bad listen. I enjoyed listening to it. Again, it's probably my favorite to listen to on the table. It was, to me, the most musical IEM, the one that made me want to actually feel the music. But I don't know. I do kind of wish that it didn't do that back up thing, just because I'm a little sensitive to that area of the treble. But me personally, I found that where the up kind of peaked at the ear gain, it was just a little bit closer to how I hear things and enjoy things than the Volume S. The Volume S just peaks a little bit later, and I think that's what makes the Volume S, even though on a graph it doesn't look like the Volume S would be brighter, it comes off as quite a bit brighter for me. I don't know. It's just how my hearing works. Everyone's different. So for you watching this video, the Volume S might be less bright than the up, because the up also has a weird ear gain. When it comes to the treble, the up was actually pretty good as well. It came off as relatively smooth and kind of enjoyable. I actually didn't mind listening to the up at all. I found it musical and enjoyable. It did give you just sometimes a little bit of shout, like with, you know, some Chris Cornell tracks and stuff like that, but not an offensive amount. So I like it. I kind of like the up, actually. At its price, but do I like listening to it? Surprisingly, yeah. I didn't mind listening to it at all. So to kind of conclude and kind of compare these, to me, the P50, it's more like of a contrast in sound. Again, it's kind of more of that like treble and that distinct bass kind of going on. The Volume S, it's probably the most, like, it's going to be most likely the best timbre of the bunch for most people. It's quite good. It's just, for me, where that ear gain peaks and how much there is, it's just a pinch shouty. I find all of these a pinch shouty, but for whatever reason, the Volume S is a little bit more shouty to me than the up. And the up, for me, was the timbre as good as the Volume S? Maybe not as much, but was it more enjoyable of a listen, and was it something I would probably listen to longer? Yeah, absolutely. Did I still get some shout? Yeah, a little bit, but was it enough to like ruin the music for me? Whereas the Volume S, it kind of got a little harsh for me at times. I got more fatigue from the Volume S than the up. The P50 kind of gave me the most fatigue, but you know, they were all pretty decent. Like, I didn't mind listening to any of them. Like, yeah, overall, I think they all get an approval from me. I can understand why people would like these, and if you're looking for those types of sounds where these are kind of a little more, for me, how I would prefer this as a bass option over how like the Variations is, for instance. Like, if you take a look at the Volume S compared to the Variations, you see like kind of you see where they're similar and you see where they're different, and where they're different is what I like about the Volume S over the Variations. So that's kind of that. I like the Volume S more than the Variations because of how it differs in how it does bass. On this table, I like the up the most, but I can understand why the Volume S would be the most popular choice. This is probably going to be the best sounding for most people, and I can understand why people like the P50. It's got that contrasty, splashy sound, and it can be fun at times. So if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time,